Access to Democracy is made possible by donations from the following organizations. Thomson Reuters, a global company with expertise and insight to unravel complex situations in the areas of law, tax, compliance, government, and media. Their worldwide network of journalists and editors keep customers up to speed on relevant global events. Crutchfield Dermatology, a full-service treatment center and Medi-Spa in Eagan. Their goal is to help you look good and feel great with beautiful skin. With service built around courtesy, dignity, and respect, Mayo-trained Dr. Charles Crutchfield personally treats each patient and is acknowledged as one of the nation's best physicians. Truestone Financial, with locations in Minnesota and Wisconsin, has proudly served its members since 1939. Truestone engages, educates, and supports its members to ensure they have the tools to empower their financial well-being. Truestone Financial, your neighborhood credit union. Learn more at truestone.org. Edina Eye Physicians and Surgeons, a division of Twin Cities Eye Consultants, has proudly served the Twin Cities for more than 55 years now in 7 convenient locations. Using the most advanced technology combined with human touch, Edina Eye offers comprehensive services and dedicated specialists committed to excellence with innovative procedures and expertise for the most advanced eye care.
And welcome. Access to Democracy has returned. Alan Miller with you. And we have a special guest running for re-election, Representative Liz Reyer. And I'll preface the interview by telling you that this was supposed to be Steve Francisco's interview. And he was really looking forward to interviewing Liz. Steve is compromised. And by that I mean his wife has COVID, so we opted for the safe result, and Liz gets stuck with me. What can I say?
Well, I'm always happy to see you, Alan,
Well,
and my best wishes to Bonnie for getting over COVID quickly.
We certainly hope so. Now, we have redistricting. Redistricting did some strange things to your life. So tell us what district you were in, what district you're running for, and how it has affected you.
Well, I currently represent Eagan House District 51B. It is the southeastern part of Eagan. And now I am running for 52A, which includes more of the western side of Eagan and north part of Burnsville. It's the part of town where I lived for 25 years. I've been in Eagan for 30 years. So we made the decision to go from our apartment on the B side back over to the A side for this election.
So you really did that. You really said, if I'm going to run in a district, I want to live in that district and represent that district. And you actually picked up and moved, which is not an easy thing to do.
No, but I looked at what I've been able to contribute in my first 2 years and the urgency of the issues that face us and the work that needs to be done. And I guess I would simply say I feel a calling and like the time is right for me to continue this work. So it was worth it, and my husband supported me in it.
That's really a big support.
It is.
Yeah. Now, you are the mother of 4, among other things, and you have 1 new grandchild, I just found out.
Yeah, mother of 4 and grandmother of the most perfect baby, Charlotte.
Of course.
Yeah, she's delightful. She's 3 months old.
But she's probably the smartest also, because they usually are.
Oh, and charismatic, did we mention that?
Absolutely. You had a very interesting session. Now, you've got a primary coming up in just a few weeks. Unexpected primary because you got the Democratic endorsement.
Yep.
And the people who were running pledged to abide by that endorsement, and yet you have a primary. So how are you handling that in view of the fact that you're in a new district? and you got a lot of new faces there.
Well, there's two different things about that. One is, it is a new district in a sense. However, my political engagement in that district goes back to 2006 when I got involved with the DFL and started working on campaigns in that district. My kids grew up in that district. I know so many people and have so much connection. It is going home to door knock in those areas, and I just feel so strongly in my community. The other thing is that I'm going to keep coming back to urgency, because that's what's driving me. In having a primary, the time that I'm spending campaigning on my own behalf for July, I'm also using to encourage engagement from other Democrats for the November election, to be supporting Congresswoman Craig, Governor Walz, and Lieutenant Governor Flanagan, the Attorney General, Secretary of State, Auditor, our own Senator Jim Carlson, of course, but to be driving out support and energizing Democrats now so that we have more people out. So for me, there's an aspect of having the primary that I'm just choosing to use for the broader purpose.
And it certainly is important this year, as we all know, especially 2022 as a precursor to 2024. And Lord knows what we were going to get in 2024. There are a lot of crazies running around. There are a lot of crazies, in my estimation, that are heading the Republican ticket in this state. And I think none more controversial than the lieutenant governor on the Republican side, who has really, really stepped into it adversely, in my opinion. But let's talk about you, and let's talk about your session, and let's talk about what you have accomplished. And you had a lot of accomplishments for a first-term legislator.
Yeah, it has been, I think it's been a great culmination for me in my career, because I've learned how to get things done. So in my first 2 years, I had 14 different provisions go into law, not as standalone bills, here and there within omnibus bills, but to be able to say more kids have access to dental care who have Medicaid than before I ran. There are new ideas going into consideration for the dental design than before I ran. We have $10 million in mental health funding that I brought through for the adult mental health program that would have been cut, and people would have lost mental health care now in all times when we have a mental health care crisis, and the list goes on. And so I do feel like I've been able to get work done that's helping people right now in Minnesota.
And getting that work done with bills that passed meant that you also had to work across the aisle on numerous occasions. And we don't see that much anymore. Politics has become so partisan that we don't see people who are willing to work with the other side. I mean, when I was younger, I was involved in politics, and this is back in Lincoln's day, but the fact of the matter is, I was a Democratic leader, the Republican leader, and we got along very well. We were able to compromise on things. We were able to relate to each other. When my sons were bar mitzvahed, he showed up at the service and at the party, things like that. Doesn't happen that way anymore, and that's a shame. That really is a shame.
And I think, I see individuals who are doing the same things I'm doing and looking at the human side. For example, a Republican representative colleague's wife passed away. I I don't really know him. I certainly didn't know her, but the loss, I sent him a note. It's those types of things, making the human connections, trying to find bit by bit to build on. But I don't think I'm rare in doing that. I think there is a bit more of that. I certainly see it in my class of people who we want to get things done, and that involves forming relationships. And we've had to take extra steps because we were the Corona class. We came in a virtual world.
That's true. You came in right in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah, everything was Zoom. We were sworn in on Zoom. And to me, that means that either if you want to succeed, you have to make that extra effort. You have to figure it out. But I also had a career in which I was working with people across the country and across the globe. So I also lived in a virtual world professionally for the last several years before I was in the house, and I think that was an advantage.
Now, I know one of the things that you have been very involved with is reproductive rights.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, you're a member of the Reproductive Freedom Caucus.
Yes.
Tell us what that is.
That is a group of 60 or so legislators. We consider ourselves bipartisan. However, only DFL members, senators, and representatives have joined. But our goal is to be a united voice on behalf of reproductive rights, abortion rights, contraceptive rights, gender affirming care, the whole range of reproductive rights, so that people can come to Minnesota and get the care they need. Minnesotans can. And right now we're looking at having to be an oasis, to be an island of access to people from so many other states now that Roe v. Wade has been taken off the table as a guarantee of our rights.
It's been gutted.
Yes.
A right taken away by the Supreme Court, by a very right-wing Supreme Court.
Yes.
By a Supreme Court with a religious persuasion, by a Supreme Court that really placed women in a second-class category, and there's no other way to say it.
And a Supreme Court where the justices who were newly confirmed said they regarded it as settled law of the land. And so to me, they were also false in what they claimed when they were being confirmed and what they did so soon after.
And it's as though Clarence Thomas was just sitting in the reeds, waiting all this time to get a majority and push past the Chief Justice to control it himself. And then, after they declared Roe v. Wade unconstitutional, he volunteered against, well, he didn't volunteer against intermarriage, obviously, because that's a self-serving situation, but against contraception, against same-sex marriage, and who knows what else.
Yeah, sodomy laws. I mean, it's horrifying and it's frightening to think about all of the people whose basic identity and right to a free and flourishing life is threatened by these few people who think that they have the right to decide who we all are and how we should all live by their narrow views. And I'm horrified and furious and relentless in taking action on this, because I think we all have to be standing up. We all need to be putting all our energy in. And to me, that is the joy of being in the situation I'm in, because regardless of what happens in any election, I have the privilege right now of having the platform to be able to go into any forum that will have me and say, here's what we need to be thinking about, here's what we need to be caring about, and here's what we need to be doing to make sure that we can live the lives that we wish and that our community around us can do the same.
Now, I'm assuming that once you get past the primary, you have an opponent.
I do.
Is your opponent a Trump-committed person or not?
Yeah, my opponent is the same person who I defeated in 2020. She is in the part of 51B that's switched over to 52A. So, you know, her residents just moved to the new district. I did defeat her by 20 points 2 years ago. I think because she's a dedicated Trump supporter, and I don't see her values and her goals as aligning with our community in terms of accepting the, you know, again, the breadth and beauty of the human experience.
Reproductive rights, obviously.
No, LGBTQ children should only be raised by a man and a woman in a lifelong relationship, and I think I'm almost quoting from her website.
In a lifelong relationship.
Yes.
So much for divorce.
I'm just, I'm ticking the boxes on so many levels in my own life, so.
Now, you recently were in Germany on a legislative mission of some sort.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
I was selected to be part of a delegation that went to Germany to, it's called the Berlin Seminar on Climate and Energy. And it's an ongoing series of meetings going back 10, 11 years or so that's sponsored by the German government and a partnership with the state of Minnesota. Germany offered, incidentally, this opportunity to all of the states. Minnesota is the only one that took it up and ran with it. But every year, legislators, regulators, utilities, energy and climate entrepreneurs, and academics go together to Germany and meet and follow a curriculum that I'm sure varies year to year. This was my first time. But our focus was twofold. One was talking about how do we create a sense of urgency around the climate crisis. In Germany, it comes from two places. You know, they have the North Sea in part of their area. They have many ways they're affected by climate's incursions on their land. But they also have an energy crisis in the war with Ukraine, Soviet war, or the Russian war with Ukraine, because their natural gas supply is threatened, and they're facing the threat of how do they heat their homes this winter.
And Putin is playing games with that every day. It's either on or it's off.
Yeah.
Yep.
So even before he started dancing around the pipeline so much, we were talking about that with the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Management. And so to me, to see them put climate as a partner with their own economic development was very powerful. And we spent time in communities looking at what are they doing at a state level and a local level to empower communities and help address the issues they're facing, and things that we can bring back here and apply in Minnesota.
Now, how many legislators from Minnesota went over there?
7. We had 5 House members and 2 senators. It was bipartisan in the sense that there was one GOP senator who attended, and it was all DFL on the House side, not through lack of inviting the GOP.
But that's still quite a feather in your cap that of all the members of the legislature, you were one of 5 in the House selected to go over there. Yeah. And obviously there's nothing more important than climate as one of the top 3 or 4 issues that face the world today.
Yeah.
As we look at Europe on fire, as we look at Europe flooding, as we look at what they're going through, as we look at the lack of air conditioning there because of diminution of power, it certainly is something that we have to make as a top priority. So congratulations to you for being part of that, and I hope you made some progress.
I know we came back with relationships, which are key. To have Excel Energy and Centerpoint and Connexus all represented there was so valuable because we were hearing competing perspectives and goals. You know, we all want the world to be livable, but the vested interests of all the different people, that's how you get change, that's how you get policy, is by having all these different perspectives there. And to me, that was, you know, there's all the content was great. The relationships were, I think, the single most powerful piece that we have to build on.
Now, in another area, you partnered on a bill with Senator Scott Dibble.
Yes.
For LGBTQ.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
So yes, that is the Trans Youth Gender Affirming Care Refuge legislation. And as you know, I'm sure many people know, there are so many states, Texas and Florida among them, that are calling it child abuse for a parent to seek gender affirming care for their trans children. And they are being investigated, they are being at risk of being really persecuted. And trans youth, LGBTQ youth in general, but especially trans youth, are at such greater risk for suicide because of the distress of not being able to be their true self.
And the societal pressure that's put on them unnecessarily.
Yeah, it is. It's heartbreaking and it's terrifying to see. So Senator Dibble's in my bill is modeled after one that was authored in California, and there's a network of states now who are doing parallel bills to make it so that Minnesota won't extradite, won't prosecute, and will affirm the rights of these families to come to Minnesota and receive care. And I'm really proud to be an author of that legislation.
And what do you think about Governor Walz's plan to give money back to the voters? It has hit a stalemate with the Republicans, but the governor wants couples to get $2,000 back as a result of the large surplus that we have. Where do you stand on that?
I don't think that the governor would be advocating for that in the way he is if the Senate had been willing to pass the omnibus bills with us. To me, that was not, the first choice of something to do. We have great bills that invest in education, healthcare, human services, public safety, all of the housing, all of the different policy areas, and much of that money would have been used in that way, and the tax bill as well. What I've seen is that he's saying, well, we can't make the Senate come together and have conversations. What can I do to provide some relief? Because the bills that we would have passed would have given relief to Minnesotans in terms of child care costs, in terms of tax relief. There are so many ways that people would have had a pocketbook benefit. It's like, well, off the table, I can give them money. And so from that point of view, I wish we could get them to the table, but I'm also not going to fault looking for a plan B or C or D.
Well, we had a small majority in the House, and we were one or sometimes two votes short in the Senate. That's really what makes 2022 such an important election, because with the re-election of the governor, if we had control of both houses, and we were the only state in the country, by the way, where the two houses were split. I mean, Nebraska only has a unilateral legislature, but we were the only one that was split like that. We could have accomplished so much more. And we wouldn't have had to talk about special sessions, which seems to be a game, a game that the Republicans play every year.
Yeah. My hope and my goal is that some of the decisions that Republicans have made about not talking, about not negotiating. Let me give you an example. I was on the conference committee in the Housing Committee in my first year of my first term, and saw what it's like with a Senate that won't have a conversation. The House had a position. The Senate came back and said, here's ours. We went back and said, well, we could make some changes, not negotiating against ourselves, but reconfiguring to a different acceptable. They came back, here's ours, no change, no yielding, no coming together. And I saw that in the committee I was on.
Recalcitrance, really.
Yes.
Refusal to bargain, refusal to do what government should do,
right,
which is to find solutions
right,
on both sides.
Mm-hmm. And it was interesting because with my career in business, I saw what negotiation looked like and finding common ground and coming to the place where no one is completely happy, but everyone can live with it. That's the nature of it. And we had, in my view, one side that was willing to negotiate in good faith, and another side that said, no, it's just our way, and we don't mind saying no to the people of Minnesota.
My way or the highway.
Mm-hmm. And the people and the problems that we need to be solving, problems of people not having health care they can afford, or a roof over their head, a stable school that has the funding it needs, all of the issues we face. And the Senate was saying, no, we don't care enough about the people and their needs to work with you. I mean, so to me, it's like, okay, let's go. Here comes 2022, because I'm ready to be out there doing all I can to help flip it.
And you have been. I have a habit of bringing up another topic when we have less than a minute left.
Oh, my.
And it drives the control room absolutely berserk. So I'm not going to do that today. We've been talking with Representative Liz Reyer, and she certainly has told us a lot about what she has done, what she stands for, what she proposes. And obviously, I didn't touch, as usual, half of the material here. So once you get past the primary, let's have you back before the election on October 14th.
Okay, I'll put it on my calendar.
Because I think, as I looked this morning, we have one opening on October 14th, and it would be ideal for us to do that. Liz Reyer, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Good luck, and we'll see you in a couple of months.
Thanks for having me.